films even after losing a box. After a 5-mile walk around town, I never smell your socks. You hid movies from your folks and your mom hid them from your grandma. And a lot of the time that we hang out, you record it with your camera. Always have the strength to forgive when I hit you in the eye. You eat Chinese ramen, nachos, fish, even pizza pie. Standing tall with curly hair, leather jacket wrapped. Oh look, here he comes, the Million Film Almanac. Bobbly, 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 bellissimo. Bobbly, 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 bellissimo. Bobbly, bellissimo. Bobbly, bellissimo.
Hi, and welcome to Terribly Fun Films. It's in the year, it's January, and that means it's Casper Van Dien month. We are continuing this look at the Casper Van Dien starring films with the Beastmaster III, The Eye of Braxus. In order to properly understand myself in this movie, I felt like I had to do the first two, which is why those got done in December, even though they can be done really any time. So, does the made-for-TV Eye of Braxus have the same sort of intensity and creep factor of just utter weirdness that the first movie had? Or the absurd, grand ideas of the second movie, even though it doesn't totally work there? Sort of. Let's find out what I mean as I review The Beastmaster III, The Eye of Braxus. Beastmaster III, The Eye of Braxus picked up several years after the last movie, and now Tall, instead of being a young boy, is now a young man, roughly 20 or so in age. He's played by Casper Van Dien. He is kidnapped by Lord Aegon, played by David Warner, who is attempting to take over every part of the continent by basically pillaging everything. This is so he can find the Eye of Braxus, which will give him ultimate powers and keep him young forever. Of course, Dar is Tal's brother. Dar is once again played by Mark Singer, and he gets snared in trying to save King Tal from Lord Aegon once Tal is kidnapped. And that's it, much like the other two movies, specifically the first one. The setup's actually fairly simple. The issues with this one come in part from the budget. This cannot hide the fact that it had a much lower budget than either one of the other two films, to the point where it's a little bit distracting. Like, the costume design for all the new characters, not any other returning characters, but the new characters, this includes a now adult King Tal, look really cheap, like low-grade community theater, and it makes it very goofy to watch. Goofy's not a bad thing about it. On top of, due to the lower budget, they don't have the same sort of visual style that the other two films had, so a lot of the weird, creepy things about the series are not in this movie. There's not a sick, twisted bone here that's being brought to life due to the weird underlying oddities that we're seeing on screen. Like in the first movie, there's that crazy executioner dude with the crazy gauntlet. There's the way the witches look. In the second movie, there's the weazened witch who regrets what she's done. There's some of the things that bring to life the witch. And this one, there's a skeleton, like, kind of guarding a place that's interesting. And then there's Braxus himself when we finally see him at the end. And he's a massive disappointment in that regard. The special effects on Braxus himself are terrible. Bad makeup, it looks cheap, his mouth barely moves. And design-wise, he looks more like a Super Mario villain than something that belongs in the Beastmaster universe. But he moves so ridiculously and so humorously that it's actually really effing funny when he's on screen. It's hilarious. And I think that's the biggest problem there. It is all I just named, issue-wise, is due to budget constraints. They went overly ambitious and failed. Or they were trying to aim at younger kids and failed, which I don't know why you would do that with this series, but whatever. However, the screenplay by David Wise, of course, based on the characters from the first two films, is pretty good. It is an interesting idea that the one obsessed with age and beauty and trying to stay young forever is a guy this time around. I don't know if I've seen that particular angle before, and that does make it a little more interesting and a little more intriguing. There is, of course, a female love interest, as there is every time, but she's actually one of the more well-written and engaging characters, as she is not quite a turncoat, but more anti-hero. She does betray Dar and Seth, and is trying to keep the word on to give them something, but it's only to save her own family, as opposed to, just her being a turncoat and working for him this entire time. And she's kind of interesting and cool. And Seth himself, who is the royal advisor to the king, is played by Tony Todd. He's a lot of fun. Tony Todd is great at selling really silly lines very seriously, and he does that really well here. I'm not sure if that's an acting thing or a writing thing. And the movie is simple in its plot, but once again, it does allow the world to feel very lived in. There are some really interesting things at play with a traveling magic circus that are kind of fun. And instead of focusing on a complicated plot, they focus on interesting world building once again, and the movie does do that well. Gabriel Beaumont directed the film, and I believe he's trying the best he can. There's some very interesting and stylish shots, especially when the hawk gets sent out to be Dar's eye. And that's really cool, and that's really interesting. Repeats maybe one too many times. We get like 5 or 6 shots of this kind of roving over the land camera while the bird is flying around, scoping things out for Dar, and that's a little too many. I get what you're going for, but it feels like you're padding things out by continuing to do it. But the movie moved very, very well. There are some other really interesting shots. There's a great shot of Dar realizing that his village he just left is on fire thanks to the Crimson Guard, who worked directly for Lord Aegon. And the lighting there, the cinematography there are really great, actually. The cinematography for most of the movie is only okay, but in that spot, in that section, it's awesome. Jan Hammer's score is serviceable and overused. It is often actually an enlivening score, if a bit traditional and not necessarily 100% memorable, but it's non-stop. Every action beat, every thrown punch, everything has a musical accompaniment. And I don't just mean a score going through. I mean like almost Adam West level bam, pow type stuff, only as a musical score. And it's a little too goofy for its own good. Mark Singer does return to play Dar, and once again, he's an excellent hero. He's an interesting character, easy person to root for. He interacts with the animals very well. He understands the character's point of view, why the character stays away from human civilization. Not humans, but like he doesn't live in the city or anything like that with his brother, who's the king. He makes it all very believable. And once again, he's very good with the one-liners, and he's a charming fellow. He's really good in these movies, and thanks to his excellent performance, there's actually a lot of in the movie that you really feel in terms of the emotional connection. They get that right. Tony Todd as Seth is tremendous fun. He's only okay in the action scenes. There's one sequence where they're fighting some guards on horseback that it's clear he literally choreographed like a day or two ago and hadn't quite mastered it. Like, he's not that convincing there. But he is very convincing in being the serious one between he and Dog, in trying to think things through instead of running forward and stuff like that. And I enjoyed that, and he and Mark Singer play off of each other very well. Daya is the love interest slash principal. She's played by Sandra Hess. Sandra Hess gives an interesting performance. When you first meet her, she's not that convincing. It's not that good as a supposed Denzel Washington. Then you find out she's not actually, and that changed it a little bit. But she's still never as cunning as the script makes her out to be. She never comes off as smart enough to outthink and outmaneuver Dar, Odo, and Podo, and Seth together. These are meant to be super wise people and creatures, and I think that's odd. But she does an amazing job in the action scene. She sells the fantastical world, the crazy names, the big mystical spells very well. And she is clearly having fun, which allows the audience to buy into her character, and we can also have fun thanks to that. David Warner plays the bad guy, and he's vamping it up to about 900. And it's great. He's this big, ridiculous, over-the-top bad guy, and it suits the tone of the movie very well. He's enjoyable and ridiculous, even if the old man makeup on him isn't that good. King Tall is, of course, played by Casper Van Dien, the reason we're reviewing this in January. And he's good. When Courtney watched this with me, she described him as too pretty for somebody who lives in the desert, and that's an accurate complaint, but again, I tossed that up to low production values and just kind of a non-existent apartment, I guess. But yeah, he looks very clean. Again, he's a king, but still, more importantly, he is fun. He and Mark Singer work well together, and he sounds very authoritative and very regal as a king, even when he's trying to live down certain kingly things that he doesn't understand or like the fact that they have to pay, that his owners have to pay tribute to him in order to have an audience with him. Sadly, he doesn't get any action scenes, but it's fun. You can see in that performance how he would go on to become as big as he has since that movie. The Shetland Circus is run by Morgana, played by Leslie Ann Dowd, in a really silly, really fun role. She's playing it not so much as a witch, but more like Elvira, if Elvira thought she could cast magic spells. And it's really, really funny and really silly, but it works somehow. I'm not positive how. Maybe it is just such a bad performance that it is so good, or maybe there's something else to it. I'm not positive, but it's at least enjoyable if it's not exactly good. Our final main character is Bay, the acrobatic at the Magic Circus, played by Keith Corloris, and I think he does an excellent job. I thought he was a lot of fun, really good in the action scenes, and once again, he actually has a lot of interaction with the animals. He does a really good job too. So overall, Beastmaster, the Eye of Braxus, is a little more consistent in everything that it has wrong and everything it does right than Beastmaster 2 through the Portal of Time. But the lower budget's obvious, and they can't totally overcome that. There's not enough stylistic flair. There's not enough engaging action to really go, yeah, I don't mind the budget. I don't mind the cheap looking things. And that kind of sucks. But Mark Singer, generally all of the actors at least do a fun job, and some of them do a legitimately great job. It's paced very well, and if you do like the series, it is a fun entry to it. It adds some cool layers of mythology and things like that. As always, I've been your host, Bobby. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time for another Casper Van Dien movie.